Hey beautiful people, this video is about what is a leadership role. Leadership isn't just a title, it's a role that you play, a responsibility that you carry, and for me, most importantly, a set of commitments that you make. So what exactly is a leadership role? Hi, I'm Jennifer Kenny. I'm the author of the best-selling book, The Innovation Mindset, and the award-winning book, 100% Capacity. I work with leaders to help them understand how to appreciate commitments and build an execution layer into their work and into their projects. I also work with leaders to help them get promoted and help them understand how appreciating commitments and making offers are an integral part of leadership. So the essence of a leadership role is it's not just about managing tasks, because that would put you just in a management position. Once you move from a management position to a leadership position, you take on a whole other level of responsibility. If all you're doing is you're managing tasks, you're a manager, and you may not even be a great manager. If as a leader you are looking at shaping the direction of your team or your organization, you're looking at building trust with your customers and beginning to identify shared value, not shared values, shared value in terms of what it is that you and your team are bringing to the table. And you're enabling others to succeed because you're growing the people around you. Harvard Business Review says that 70% of team engagement is influenced directly by the leader. So you can begin to see the enormity of the responsibility of leading inside any organization. Not just responsibility to the leadership of the organization, responsibility to yourself in terms of how you show up, but responsibility of all the people who are junior to you and the people who report to you in terms of how you are creating space for them to grow and succeed themselves. If you're thinking in those terms, it means somebody did it for you. What you're looking to do now is be the leader that you would love to work for, or be the leader that is comparable to somebody that you loved working for in the past. So the key responsibilities of leadership, if we just list them off, are setting the vision, which is defining the success and the direction, creating alignment, which is ensuring that everyone understands the plan and everybody's on the same bus. Enabling execution, which means removing obstacles and providing resources. Now, I'm going to list these off and then I'm going to come back and talk to you more about the nuances of them in the context of the innovation mindset and the work that I do. And the fourth key responsibility is building capability, which is coaching and developing people. Now, as I said, I'm just going to list those, but I wanted to talk to you about them in more detail in the context of my book, which is The Innovation Mindset. And the reason why I want to do that is because setting the vision, defining success and direction is not something that is ever done in isolation. If you understand who your customers inside the organization or outside are, I strongly recommend that you work with them to understand what success means for them, whether it is the success of your department, the success of your project, the success of your team. But somebody inside the organization is dependent on you being successful. You need to know who those people are. It's not just your boss. It can be your boss, but it's also other people inside the org that you're providing a service or value to. As you start thinking about setting the vision, make sure you understand who those people are and that you've had conversations with them and you understand what they consider to be valuable in terms of the work that you're doing. The other thing that I would like to dig a little bit deeper on is the creating alignment, making sure that everybody understands the plan. What does understand the plan actually mean? Lots of organizations think understand the plan means went to the presentation where someone told them about the plan. I would suggest that you look at understands the plan means each individual understands what their commitments are inside the plan in order for the plan to be successful. They understand what you as their customer is looking for from them. They understand what your customer is looking for from you, so they have more context, and they understand the value metrics and the value proposition of what it is that they're doing. In the absence of that context, people are going to be less intelligent than they're capable of being. So when you start thinking about creating alignment, start thinking about how you help people understand the sequencing or the contextualization of value, how it cascades down and how you contribute up into it and where they fit in that role. So one of the things that I have done when I've taken on new teams is I've sat them down and I've asked them those questions. I've said, so how do you perceive that the work that you're doing right now, or this project that we're working on, how do you think about that in terms of value for whoever our internal or external customer is? And if they look blankly at me, then I understand where I am on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of the size of the problem that I have with really creating alignment and an understanding of what the plan is and what the value needs to be. The other thing that I ask people at that stage is, who do you consider to be your customer? Now, many of them will then point to me and I will go, yes, I'm one of your customers, but who is your external customer? Who are you having conversations with where you are delivering value and you are responsible for making sure that we understand what that value is and how it aligns with the overall goals of the group? So those are worthwhile conversations to have as you start trying to attune your people to the idea that they are not simply coming in to deliver tasks, but they are here to deliver value to identifiable customers, and they are here to contribute and innovate. Once you get them into the habit of doing that, you can expect a higher level of innovation, a higher level of engagement, and frankly, much more enjoyable meetings. The other one is enabling execution. I wouldn't say that as a leader, your job is just enabling execution. I would say that it's something much bigger. It's actually building execution capacity. So we think that because we have resources, de facto, we have execution capacity. I would big time beg to differ, because we can have lots and lots of resources, but if they're picked and gathered from all over the organization, they have never worked effectively together before. They don't have practices or shared language for working together. They don't have practices or shared language for building trust with customers and delivering value to those customers. Then what we have is we have a bunch of resources. If you want to move into execution with a bunch of resources, have at it. I think you'll be back to the drawing board fairly quickly. If as a leader you understand that your role is to build execution capacity, refine execution capacity, grow execution capacity in the individuals on your team and in the team as a whole, I think that you are increasing your chances of success significantly. Building capability versus capacity. So capability in individuals, which is coaching and leading individuals. We had a wonderful project that we did a number of years ago with a number of researchers, and they used to have these one-on-ones, and they used to have these very awkward one-on-ones, because the one-on-ones were about building capability and they viewed them as coaching and developing people, and they weren't particularly predisposed to that and not even particularly good at it. Maybe they didn't have a lot of experience doing it, but what we did was we took a huge step back and we asked them to map their areas of mastery. In other words, one individual shows up and says, this is what my PhD is in, this is what my research is in, this is what I'm super excited about bringing to the world, and there are 2 other adjacent areas that I'm peripherally looking at that I don't do as much reading in, but my main area is this, whatever that particular area of research was. And we asked each member of the team to do that. And what came out of that was the one-on-ones moved away from these awkward scientists trying to be great HR people one-on-ones and coaching people, which they weren't necessarily good at, to these intense conversations around mastery and how it contributed and how they could add value and what was getting in their way of them doing that and how they could support and help each other in it. So we got a level of co-invention and design happening under the umbrella of building execution capacity that allowed them to really be able to bring their enormous value to the table. When you start thinking about building capacity and coaching and developing people, think about the context in which you're doing it. If you're doing it in the context of building mastery and building overall capacity of the organization, you give yourself a cohesive umbrella for doing it, and you will make your conversations much more valuable and powerful. So I started by saying that the essence of leadership wasn't about just managing tasks. If that's what you're doing, you're being a manager and not a particularly good manager at that point. But the difference between role and position is that position is your title in the org chart. Where do you fit on the org chart? And anyone can pinpoint themselves in that. But your role is really the commitments and responsibilities that you fulfill. Now, the interesting thing about your role is your role can be defined exclusively by the org and exclusively by your boss, or your role can be co-invented with the org and with your boss and with you. So if you're the sort of person, and presumably if you're watching YouTube videos probably late at night or in the middle of the day when you're driving somewhere, and you're ambitious and you want to be able to contribute value to your organization and to the world and to other people and to yourself, then the conversation you need to be having is one of, how do I co-invent my leadership role with my boss and with the rest of the organization and with my customers? Where am I adding value, and how do they perceive that value? And how can I continue to build my team behind me so that I can continue to add more value to the organization, to my boss, to my internal or external customers? At that point, you truly move into a leadership role and you truly start contributing. I was doing some coaching with a fantastic leader a couple of days ago, and she came in and she said, I did my check-in, how are you doing? And she said, oh, I'm kind of bummed actually. I got dumped with this project that I need to do. And that was her manager mindset speaking. It's extra tasks that I have on my list. And I invited her to step out of that mindset and to move into a leadership mindset that says, I have an opportunity. It's up to me as to how it is I negotiate and craft that opportunity. And we went through a process of turning that around. Yes, she's being asked to do extra work. Yes, she's getting something dumped on her, but the story, if it's about something being dumped on me, which is someone else to find it for me and I'm a victim, versus I have an opportunity that I can define and co-invent with my customer myself, that will allow me to be able to do work that I want to be able to do, that will allow me to be able to be seen adding value inside the organization, that will position me for my next promotion. That's a completely different conversation. The actual work, the volume of work is maybe not that different in the end, but how you go about it, how you frame it, how you engage, the conversations that you have, how you measure the success, how you think about the value is what makes the difference between simply managing tasks versus actually leading. As you think about what a leadership role is for you, I invite you to think about it as something that you are a huge part of designing, and your leadership design skills need to get better and better, so that, and they can get better and better over time, so that you are designing something that you are truly going to enjoy and love as you mature in your career. I have another video which is called What Are the Positives of Leadership Roles? There are lots of them, let me tell you. I invite you to have a look at that video. If this video is useful for you, please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Continue the conversation with me. I'm here to add value and help you on your leadership journey. And I wish you the very best of luck, and congrats for stepping on to the process.